trees are gone.
Well, all the dirt is out in front.
Yeah, that's the new water one is replacing the water line across all of those buildings.
Gotcha. All right.
And once they're done, they will replace the trees with something better than what we had.
Perfect. Hey, Jill, can you hear me?
I can.
Will you do a test 1, 2, 3 a few times so I can check the broadcast?
Just voice text? Just talk a little bit? Is that what you're saying?
Yep.
Test 1, 2, 3. Test 1, 2, 3.
Thank you.
Yes. Yep.
Stephen, can you tell me whether we've considered video options for recording and broadcasting our meetings?
Will you say that again, please?
Yes. Have we considered video options instead of just audio for recording and broadcasting our meetings?
We've researched it, and what we found is just the cost was always a little bit prohibitive for us because we would need someone to operate cameras and switchers and do the video editing. And so once we went live with our new iCompass agenda software and they had the direct integration with YouTube for audio, we just kept our audio streaming.
When you had to resign for some reason.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome.
Either way, we didn't even talk about this. If one person to be in the line of succession, so we have a third in the line of succession.
Do you need one, Mike?
This is pretty mild, really, because we're saying if we had one where we had
Because I think that was the current succession right there as far as chairing the meetings. If it was the president, then it was the longest serving.
But there's nobody in succession.
Right.
Because we all went back and read that, and whoops, there really isn't a third in my succession here, so we should have one.
For council president or just for chairman?
so you guys know.
Ooh,
Careful
okay.
what you guys do.
Okay, well, we'll not do anything too rash then. We'll just, don't pick your nose or whatever, right? Okay. But I've offered, Michelle, if we're having some difficulty, people would like me to sit in on some of the planning meetings and the conference calling and all that stuff, I'd be willing to do that. I mean, I do have 30 years experience in dealing with crap, so just, I volunteer to help if I can.
Yeah, tonight's good. Was reporting on some of the stuff about bringing the military ships in. And
I was,
everything.
the military hospital ships. Well, I was talking to Nolan a little earlier about who's running this thing in Kansas as far as the distribution. He thinks it's KDHE.
I think it's been my
KDM is not actually running this thing. I'm sure they're coordinating with KDHE, and they might even be utilizing the state ELC. I don't know. I don't have any of the facts of what's going on up there. I'm just sitting out here as Joe Schmo nowadays. I'm not part of the deal. And, yeah, KDHE. Yeah, and there's some concerns about the distribution of PPE. Well, I'll give it or something.
Yes, I will. Yes, I'll post it.
This is for Lindsay. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Quarantining.
Okay. Good evening and welcome to the March 23rd, 2020 meeting of the Shawnee City Council. I'd ask that you please silence your electronic devices at this time and mute your phones if you're participating remotely at this time. I am Mayor Michelle Disser. I'll be chairing this meeting. I'll do a roll call at this time. Councilmember Thomas. Present. Councilmember Zimmerman.
Present.
Councilmember Jenkins.
Present.
Councilmember Kimley.
Present.
Councilmember Larson-Bonnell.
Present.
Councilmember Knappen.
Present.
Councilmember Constance.
Present.
Councilmember Chaffee.
Present.
Thank you. Please stand and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a moment of silence. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation,
under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Before we begin, I'd like to go over some emergency procedures. Due to the COVID-19 situation, we're taking action to minimize attendance at the City of Shawnee City Council meetings. We're asking for residents to stay home, especially if attendance is not essential, and listen to the broadcast of the meeting from our website, www.cityofshawnee.org. All governing meetings will comply with the Kansas Open Meetings Act. During this time of health emergency, we'll also be prudent with our business agenda, deferring action when feasible, and we will not be accepting public comments on agenda items for this emergency period unless the item is a public hearing as required by law. We'll have a limited amount of public seating where the audience can observe and listen to the meeting. However, we're using social distancing best practices. In the future, if you have information or comments related to any item on our agenda that you would like to have presented to the governing body, we encourage you to submit that information in writing rather than appear at our meeting. If you wish to submit information, please email those comments and statements to governing body at cityofshawnee.org. Contact information for individual members of the governing body are on our website, cityofshawnee.org. Additionally, while we won't do a roll call vote on every vote, I will state council members' names who vote in minority, so our listening audience will have a clear and accurate record of the vote. Next item on the agenda is the consent agenda. Does anyone have an item they would like to remove from the consent agenda? Seeing none, I'll accept a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded on this item. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Aye. Motion passes. Next item on the agenda is mayor's items. Item number 1 is to consider suspending policy statement 7, conduct of public meetings in order to respond appropriately to the COVID-19 emergency. I'm recommending the suspension of PS 7 so the governing body can respond to the COVID-19 emergency by holding meetings remotely. This action would have no impact on the Kansas Open Meetings Act, and all governing body meetings would still be open to the public. Does anyone on the council have any questions? I think I will ask the ones that are not here, just so I make, so Councilmember Chalfie?
Yes?
Do you have any questions in regards to suspending PS 7?
I do not, thank you.
Councilmember Constance?
I do not, thank you.
Councilmember Larson Bonnell?
I do not, thank you.
Councilmember Zimmerman?
I'm here, thank you, Mayor.
Okay, so the recommended actions consider suspending policy statement number 7, conduct of public meetings until further notice. I'll accept a motion.
Move to accept the recommendation.
Second.
Motion made and seconded on this item. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion passes. Item number 2 is to consider electing a council president. I am recommending the council elect a council president until the revisions to Charter Ordinance 45 are effective. This will allow for a line of succession for the mayor's office should anything happen to me. Once the Charter Ordinance revisions are effective, the governing body may elect a council president following the new election procedures outlined in Policy Statement 7. I would like to accept a motion to elect Councilmember Dr. Kimling as council president until the revisions to Charter Ordinance number 45 become effective. So I will accept a motion.
I move to elect.
Okay. A motion has been made and seconded on this item. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay.
Aye.
Motion passes. Congratulations, Mr. President. The next item is public items. Item number 1 is to open and continue a public hearing to consider amending the Belmont Promenade Community Improvement District Plan. Staff is recommending the public be open and immediately continue to the next scheduled council meeting. I will accept a motion to open the public meeting.
Move to open the public hearing.
Second.
Motion has been made, seconded on this item. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay.
Aye.
Motion passes. We're now in a public hearing as required by law. Next recommended action is continue the public hearing to the next scheduled city council meeting where public comments will be accepted. Is there a motion and a second?
Move to continue the public hearing to the next scheduled city council meeting.
Second.
Motion has been made, seconded on this item. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay.
Aye.
Motion passes. Item number 2 is to consider resolution number 1907, ordinance number 3319, resolution number 1908, accepting the best bid and authorizing the sale and delivery of general obligation improvement bonds, series 2020A. On February 10, 2020, governing body authorized the sale of general obligation bonds for Monday, March 23, 2020. 2 resolutions, 1 ordinance are required to accept the best bid and authorize the sale and delivery of the bonds in an estimated amount of $4,910,000. The bonds are for streetlight acquisition, LED conversion project, and a fire truck acquisition for Fire Station 72. 3 separate actions are required. Don Cobby, the city's finance director, is on the line to answer any questions or provide any more information. Does anyone on the council have any questions? Councilmember Chalfie, do you have any questions?
I do not, thank you.
Councilmember Constance?
I'm good, thank you.
Councilmember Larson Bonnell?
No, thank you.
Councilmember Zimmerman?
None here. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, there are 3 recommended actions to consider. The first action is consider adopting Resolution 1907. I'll accept a motion.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion has been made, seconded on this item. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay.
Aye.
Motion passes. Second recommended action is to consider passing ordinance number 3319. Does anyone on the council have any questions? Councilmember Chafee, do you have any questions?
No questions here, thanks.
Councilmember Constance?
No, thank you.
Councilmember Larson Bonnell?
No, thank you.
Councilmember Zimmerman?
None here. Thank you, Mayor.
I'll accept a motion.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion has been made, seconded on this item. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion passes. Final recommended actions, consider adopting resolution number 1908. Does anyone on the council have any questions? Councilmember Chafee?
None here, thank you.
Councilmember Constance?
No, thank you.
Councilmember Larson Bonnell?
No, thank you.
Councilmember Zimmerman?
None here. Thank you, Mayor.
I'll accept a motion.
Move to approve.
Second.
Has been made, seconded on this item. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Nay. Motion passes. Next item on the agenda is item from the Planning Commission meeting March 2nd, 2020. Item number 1 is consider ordinance number 3320 Z01-2002, rezoning from agricultural to planned single-family or legacy crossing, a single-family residential subdivision proposed in the 7500 block of Clare Road. Planning Commission recommended 9-0. The governing body approved Z01-2002. Recommended actions consider passing ordinance number 3320. Does anyone on the council have any questions? Councilmember Chafee?
No questions, just a comment that I am happy to see this come across our plate, and I think that it is yet another kind of diversified housing option, different than what we currently have, so I'm pretty excited about it.
Thank you. Councilmember Constance?
I agree. I think I'm excited about this project as well. Thank you.
Councilmember Larson Bonnell?
Same. No questions. Thank you.
Councilmember Zimmerman?
Ditto here. Thank you.
I'll accept a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Motion's been made, seconded on this item. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay.
Aye.
Motion passes. Next item on the agenda is from Council Committee meeting on March 3rd, 2020, chaired by Councilmember Kimling.
Item number 1 is to consider Charter Ordinance number 47, Ordinance number 3321, and revisions to Policy Statement number 7, PS7, Conduct of Public Meetings. The Council Committee recommended various updates regarding the structure of the Council Committee, the role of the Council President, and the election for that position, the date that terms of office begin, and permanently canceling the second City Council meeting in December and only holding a special call for an emergency. A charter ordinance, regular ordinance, and revision to PS7 are required.
There are 3 recommended actions to consider. The first recommended action is to consider passing Charter Ordinance number 47, amending Charter Ordinance number 45. And before I ask the council for any questions, I did want to point out, to make sure you saw, I did have, after listening, when I was listening to the meeting that Tuesday night, a statement from Councilmember Kimling really struck a chord with me in that, in regards to the succession plan and all of that. And after hearing that, I was of the opinion that I think the best course of action to take is that the council president would basically chair the meetings and have the authority to do what needs to be done for the short time until a special election could be held, because the reason I feel that is the best way, instead of the council or through this process deciding the next mayor, is because for a few reasons. One, it gives every sitting council member the opportunity to run for mayor, including anybody else in the city that would want to run for the position of mayor, without any council member having to give up their seat to do so. And most importantly, it also gives the residents of the city of Shawnee the opportunity to choose who their next mayor is, and not the currently sitting council or coin flip or anything like that. So I think that the process all still works as far as for how you want to decide your council president, but I think as far as deciding the succession of the mayor, that should immediately go to a special election. So that's my thoughts on that, and then I will open it up to any other council questions or comments. Mr. Knappen, did you have?
Yeah, so first of all, I like your idea. I like the idea of the people voting as quickly as possible on the mayor. I guess my question is, logistically, would that be a separate line item that we would vote on? You laid out 3 things that we're going to vote on here. Would that be a 4th? And then I have one other thought on secession, but go ahead. Stephen Powell, Deputy City Manager. So the mayor's proposal is in direct conflict with one of the items that the committee recommended. And so I think you could, if you all wanted to choose her recommendation over what the committee recommended, I think you could just pass the charter ordinance that's in the packet with the purple text.
Okay.
I know that sounds weird. I can pull it up on the screen if you guys want to see that. Would we also, my second question, would we have an opportunity here to go ahead and extend the secession beyond and just say that after that, we go by seniority? We're changing the charter anyway right now. It makes sense to just go ahead and extend it even further. Because right now this would give us 2. But then, especially given these unprecedented times, hopefully it's over quickly. But if we just go ahead and add in that following that, we could go to tenure. Just an idea. I guess we would have a special election fairly quickly, though.
Right. Oh, okay. So you're just talking like having like how we currently have like a vice chair or senior. So a kind of like what Mr. Jenkins had mentioned right before.
It would just be an extended secession plan. Again, maybe we don't need to. It'd be up for, debate here.
But it would still go to immediate election. It's just.
It would still go to immediate election, right?
Council president.
Exactly. That would be my one suggestion while we're going ahead. It's kind of a big deal to change the charter. It takes 80 days to go into effect. This would be a simple thing that would actually, I guess, extend to 7 deep if needed, which would never happen. So just so I can make sure I'm clear, and Ellis, jump in if you have questions. So the council president would become acting mayor, which was the mayor's suggestion. We would go to special election to fill the mayor's space, and then
if something happened to the acting mayor,
then the next person, seniority-based, would kind of move up the chain. That would be the suggestion, yeah. I think that's clear enough for me. Alice? It's easy, and it's a long secession, and it probably would never be needed because we'd have a special election within, 2 or 3 months?
90 days or 120
right.
days.
Yeah, I just think we might as well add it into this language while we're doing this.
There's let's say a primary that would delay it.
Mr. Jenkins?
Yeah, I concur with those comments because I was wanting to talk about at least a third in the line of secession as well. Probably would never be needed, but it'd just be while we're doing it, let's go ahead and cover all the bases and say, hey, we know what we're doing. If something happens to number 2, we go to number 3. If something happens to number 3, you look at the national secession from the president to the vice president to the Speaker of the House and the majority leader of the Senate, and then you go down to the Secretary of State, and then you go down to Secretary of Treasury, then Secretary of Defense, and you just keep working your way down. It's very unlikely, but unless you wrote one of those Tom Clancy novels where they flied plane into the Capitol building during the State of the Union address, and the guy that wasn't there did wind up being the president. So
I think Michelle's an option.
But yeah, I just think that's a good idea, and I had a suggestion for that about electing one in the same manner, but I'd be happy with the seniority thing. It's very simple, it'd be long lasting. It wouldn't matter it could be 10, 15 years from now or whatever, and it still would be valid. So I think I would support what Kurt had to say.
Now
Mayor, just may I be recognized?
Yep, 1 second. Let me clarify something, and is this Lisa?
Yes.
Okay, 1 second. So though, if for a while there on the council, we had 4 of us that had the same tenure. So if our third person is longest serving, then what does happen if you have more than one? Because for a while there were 4 of us that had the exact same tenure. Mm-hmm. I'm looking for suggestions of how you want to handle that.
I don't think it matters. Ward 1, Ward 2, Ward 3, Ward 4, whatever.
That's reasonable.
Okay. I'm sorry, Ms. Larson-Manel?
Yeah, a couple of things. First of all, I don't recall the vice chair actually being in the line of succession as the ordinance is currently written. Is that actually what, are they actually a part of the line of succession?
No. It went from president to longest serving council member was the previous line of succession. So the vice chair was...
In the current model, like what we have in place right now?
Yes.
Right now. Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you, Councilmember Larson-Manel. Currently, in our current charter, the way it is today, the council president becomes the mayor. The most senior council person is not in that line of succession. The most senior council person would chair meetings if the mayor and or council president weren't available to chair those meetings.
But that's what we're talking about, is chairing meetings.
Okay.
Not succession, right?
Well, we weren't talking succession.
Oh, so if something happened to the president within the 90 days before the election, okay. Sorry.
I think it's
Ms. Thomas.
I think it's important too, this is, that they're the acting mayor, that this is a temporary thing until such time, 90 days or however long it is, an election would take place for this specifically. Also, is it reasonable to, and maybe you can get to the details a later time, but let's say this event occurred, and these hypotheticals drove me insane last time, but let's say something were to occur in July. Is there a time frame that we would not want to have a special election call?
I would be of the opinion that it would be a separate election regardless, because then it still allows all 8 council members the opportunity to run for the seat.
Okay. All right. Good.
So I would still, and while I know there's an expense to that, I don't see it as something that would happen on a regular basis, but if you start getting to a point you're turning over mayors every few months, then I'd probably look at the policy again.
Look at the council.
Madam Mayor, sorry.
Is this Councilmember Larson-Manel?
Yes.
Okay, if you guys, it would help us if you guys identify yourself before you start speaking, and then after you, I have Dr. Kimling. Go ahead.
Okay, I just wanted to say that I am supportive of your suggestion that we go immediately to a special election. I appreciate what Councilmember Knappen has suggested. I'm a little bit confused about what we are actually proposing that's different from what we currently have, and I'm not prepared to kind of think through that this evening without having any prior notice. So if we already have something on the books that says that the senior most member will chair the meetings and act in the mayor's place in the event that the acting mayor is not available, I'm fine with that as it stands. And I don't want to get too into the weeds with anything without having anything in writing that we can evaluate.
So what are the thoughts amongst the council of then, so that that language doesn't have to change, where we would still have a president and a vice chair, and they would both be done by election, like the policy that you guys decided at the committee meeting? So then there wouldn't be any change there. Councilmember Kimling and then Councilmember Jenkins.
I was going to talk about something else, so I don't want to derail this part of the conversation, so we'll just...
Councilmember Jenkins.
Yeah, I think what the extension of what we're doing here is that we're just expanding the succession line down to a different level. So we had a backup for the mayor. If something happened to the mayor, the council president would step up. But then if you look at where we're at right now, we've got a hole in the process at that point, unless we would have some kind of council election and elect a new council president who would be an interim council president. That was kind of what my suggestion, I talked to you before the meeting, was all about, that might be a way of doing. That way all the council would have input on who the interim council president was. But what Councilman Knappen came up with was really a lot more simple, and it would withstand the test of time extremely well. It didn't matter what century you're in, that would still pretty well hold true. And I think that's a simple and good solution. So I'm kind of discarding mine in favor of his in that point. But that's the question here. Is we're just extending the line of succession down further, so that any contingency would be covered, even though those contingencies are highly unlikely.
Now, I would probably just define, though, that if you have more than one person with the same amount of tenure, how you're going to handle that.
So that's exactly what my concern is. It seems like a really simple solution, but then once you try to actually implement it, there are some details that need to be worked out, and I'm totally fine with us going through that process, but this is the first time we're mentioning this part of it, and we don't have anything to evaluate. We haven't had a significant conversation. I'm just not prepared to either agree or disagree to it at this moment.
So would the council be in agreement of keeping the president and vice chair as the process as it currently is, as far as determining?
This is Wendy. I liked what Mayor Dickler just suggested of keeping that, and I'm not necessarily opposed to the line of succession that Mr. Knappen suggested. I just am also unclear about how that would work if there were multiple. So,
any other comments from anyone else online?
This is Councilmember Chelsea. I tend to agree also with what Mr. Knappen said. I think it is fairly simple, and I think that I could be supportive of that, adding that extra line of succession in. But again, I do think we need to think through what happens, in the case that there are multiple people with the same tenure. So I do think we should think through that. I think it's probably a good idea, and, it's something that hopefully is never needed, but I do think we should just, if we're going to put it in our charter ordinance, or PS7, then I think it should be pretty clear cut on how that is determined. And, we went to sort of a random coin toss type thing, at some point in our election process. So, maybe it could be that, if there are multiple people with the same tenure, but I do feel like we should lay out what that is exactly.
Another thought I just had, and then I'm going to recognize Mr. Jenkins, is if you had multiple people with the same tenure, you could go through the same election process you do with the president, and at that point, you're going to be down to 7 people, so you're not going to get a tie. Because if you don't have a mayor or the 8th council person, you're going to have 7 people. So whether you have 2 people or 4 people with the same tenure, at that point, you could do your same election process as what is in there. Mr. Jenkins and then Mr. Knappen.
Well, to me, the whole matter here is having some sort of continuity of government, okay? And to have continuity of government, it means we've got to set in place what the process is going to be if we need to, for some reason, go to that process. I think Ms. Chalfie just talked about it. We at this point are going to break a tie with the flip of the coin. If you got the same tenure, flip the coin. We have the ability to do that, and it can be handled at the very meeting it needs to be done at, and business is complete. I think that's a pretty good solution. There's a couple of reasons why that's such a bad idea. One, it will probably never happen, so it's not going to be too big a strain on anybody. If it does happen, we do maintain continuity. We also know that it's for a very brief period of time because we're going to have a special election as soon as possible. So if we've got somebody up there and he or she can basically sit up and take sustenance and can sign their name on a piece of paper to sign off on an ordinance or whatever, that's really going to be all that's going to be needed to that person essentially anyway. But we do have that continuity that provide what the staff is going to need in terms of who I go to with this stuff if we get in this situation. And I know we're thinking outside the box by even going here in the first place, but I'd really prefer to keep it really simple, and I think Kurt's plan was pretty simple, and if we need to discuss the tiebreaker at this point or whatever, coin flip would be fine. It would satisfy the process.
Unless there's 4.
4 of them at the same time?
Yeah, that's why I said at one time, there were 4 of us sitting here that had the
Well, that's when you flip the coin more than once. I'm serious. Have you ever been on a multiple coin flip?
I haven't.
Oh, yeah. You flip the coin, heads or tails. 2 people say heads, 2 people say tails. Whoops, you 2 are gone. Okay, flip it again. I mean, it's pretty simple.
Mr. Knappen? Rock, paper, scissors.
Yeah, basically.
Can somebody restate that? Excuse me. Can somebody, Mayor or Mike, could you guys restate that? So the president that for instance, we're proposing to elect Mike as our interim president, correct?
Yeah, we did
Or
that.
council president, and so Mike is our council president. So Mike would then become acting mayor in the event there was an unfortunate event. So then Eric would step up, and if that were to take place, to fill in where Mike was. Am I understanding that correctly? Because he would be council president, he would then be acting mayor up until an election time.
Right.
So would he go back to being council president?
I would assume so.
Yeah, we just roll back, that'd be an
Okay.
interim, that would be
That's
an
just a
interim
rollback, that's
process.
an interim process, okay.
Yeah, because that was part of the language I wanted to clarify, because before, the council member would have lost their seat
Right.
as a council person and not been able to go back, because you guys would have then had to have filled that seat, because it
Right.
was vacant. So, Dr. Kimling, did you?
I'm not sure if we fully finished that subject, so I apologize if this derails us. But in the 3 mayoral races that have been on the tickets while I've been here, they all had primaries and multiple people. So I don't know if that's something we need to account for, if we're going to say that, or do we just let 4 people go on and 26% of the vote gets it?
No, I think that is included in the full time, right? A primary and the full is included in that full,
Okay.
is it 120 days? Something like that.
We've been told by the election commission that they would need about 120 days to spin up a special election for a citywide election, which the mayor's race obviously would be.
Including
And-
primary.
And that would be the primary as well. And so right now, we have if you don't go with the mayor's suggestion, then it doesn't matter. If you do, I guess it still doesn't matter, because we still have in our charter that there shall be a primary election in the event there are more than 2 candidates for such office. So there would be a primary if more than 2 people filed.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Mayor, this is Lisa. May I be recognized?
Yes.
One thing I want the council to consider is that when we're talking about the council president and succession planning, we keep thinking about this in absolute terms. The mayor is absolutely unavailable. The mayor is resigning either because of health or whatever reason, and it's going to trigger an election. And I am fully supportive of that model. I also want us to consider the fact that the council president serves if the mayor is temporarily unavailable, and that could be an extended period of time. You know, a mayor could be temporarily unavailable because of a health issue, for instance, where they are expected to fully recover. So as we're considering this, and as we're considering the duties of the council president, I do want us to keep that in mind. The other thing I want us to keep in mind is that we don't have to do all of this in one night. It really is okay if we change part of the ordinance for the things that we all agree on, and then remember the things that we still want to have discussion on, put them back on the council committee agenda, and then come back and revise again when we've had time to think about it.
Councilmember,
Thank you.
Councilmember Knappen?
Stephen, can you address, I think that's a legitimate thought, that, a good point, that it also, it's not just when they're completely unavailable. So does the current language and what's written here, in your opinion, reflect that? The fact that if they may be temporarily unable to do their duties?
I believe that it does, because if, let's say, the mayor broke her leg and had to be gone for a month to recover, the council president would be the acting mayor, fill in for the mayor in that capacity. They would not become the mayor, but they would chair the meetings and cut the ribbons and things like that. So if the mayor were to, something more horrible were to happen to the mayor and she couldn't serve anymore, then currently that council president becomes mayor. Under Mayor Dissler's proposal, the council president would become acting mayor, still maintain his or her role and rights and responsibilities as a council person, and then we would hold a special election to fill the mayoral position permanently.
personally, I feel like we could probably, as a group, we've proven that we could talk about this for hours on end. And especially given the current situation, I think these are important items. And again, while we're amending the charter, I would love to make it all inclusive. If it doesn't garner enough votes, then we can break it into pieces. But it seems reasonable to me that we move forward with some type of motion that would accept the current language with what's in purple, which reflects what the mayor wanted, and add the additional line of secession that we were talking about. Thoughts?
Councilmember Jenkins?
Clarify what you were talking about with the deputy city manager, is when you look at the way the language has been amended, 2 paragraphs. And the first paragraph all their own voting rights and prerogatives and so on.
Hello?
Sick or whatever it is.
My audio.
But the second paragraph clearly pinpoints the part about the mayor's actually gone. And what we do if the mayor's actually gone, we have the special election and so on. I would certainly concur with what Curtis said. I'd like to move on this tonight under the situation we're dealing with right now, and I would that we move forward with this and that we accept the revisions to the charter ordinance, the addition, the fact that we're going to extend the line of succession to reflect that in the event we require another person to step forward as council president due to unforeseen circumstances.
I'm having some audio trouble with Councilmember.
We're having some audio trouble out here. Eric, you're cutting in and out real bad.
It's on.
Mike's on, I don't say. Is that better? I moved it, face it toward me more.
Yeah, that's actually much better, yeah.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
So the motion being that we're just gonna add in the language that, the senior council member would step up into the council, president as an interim until such time as, the crisis passes and the mayor can be elected by a special election or whatnot. And if that, council person, if there's a need for another person to step up in succession, then it would be the next most senior, council person. And in the event that there were two or more council persons of equal seniority, there would be a coin flip to determine who would be the senior person that would step forward in the next, on the next succession. And we've already got into the language.
If I may, if we're going to go in that direction, I can support it, but if we can please say names in a hat, as opposed to coin flip, and then also, oh shoot, I forgot what I was going to say.
I'm sorry, that's the motion. If you want to vote against the motion, I guess you can, but there's a motion that I just made on the floor waiting for a second.
Second.
I am sorry, Councilmember Jenkins.
I'm sorry too, but there is a motion made.
You were cutting in and out.
Should I refer you to policy statement number 7, which says when there's a motion on the floor, you must deal with the motion on the floor. I refer you to that.
I'm asking you to repeat your motion. That is the only thing I'm asking.
I've already said it twice now.
They said the audio was cutting out.
Yeah, that's why I stepped back and said it again.
So basically, the motion is the changes in purple, but adding that if anything were to happen to the council president, the senior member would then be in the interim until the special election. If there's more than one senior member, it would either be a coin flip or...
Well, we suggest a coin flip.
Okay, coin flip is the motion.
Second.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. We'll go ahead and do a roll call vote. Councilmember Thomas?
Yes.
Councilmember Jenkins?
Yes.
Wait, are we going to have discussion?
We just did. What?
On the motion? We had discussion on the motion?
No, we had discussion before the motion.
And then we moved to a motion. Now we're doing a vote.
So nobody said they wanted any further discussion.
It's absurd.
Councilmember Kennedy?
Aye.
Councilmember Nappen?
Yes.
Councilmember Chafee?
Aye.
Councilmember Constance?
Aye.
Councilmember Larson Bonnell?
Aye.
Councilmember Zimmerman?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Mayor, on the charter, you need to vote too.
Yes, aye, sorry. Second recommended action is consider passing charter ordinance number 33,
Regular ordinance. Is there a typo? We just passed the charter ordinance. Let me get back here.
passing ordinance number 3321. Okay. Amending section 204070 of the Shawnee Municipal Code to permanently cancel the second city council meeting in December. Anyone on the council have any questions or comments? Okay, I'll accept a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded on this item. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those nay. Motion passes. Final recommended action is consider approving revisions to policy statement 7, conduct of public meetings. Does anyone on the council have any questions?
Yes.
This is Councilmember Chelsea.
Thank you. Go ahead.
I did mention this to Merlin, so maybe it got fixed somewhere, but in Roman numeral 3 on PS7 number 5, it still says the first meeting in January as opposed to December. So if we're backing up those dates that newly electeds take office, that just needs to be corrected.
Good catch.
Oh, okay. Yep, I got it. Thank you, Councilmember Chafee, for catching that.
But that's the election of the president. So wouldn't that be the first meeting of January?
It's moved to the first meeting of December.
Okay.
Because we take the terms of office.
Swearing in the
Yeah.
people the first meeting of December. Okay, got it. Okay, I will accept a motion.
Yeah, just,
Oh, yes, Mr. Jenkins?
yeah, I think what we're doing here is I talked to Nolan about this, the city manager, about, I had some suggestions. I'd like to see some modifications here in PS7. He said, we're really not going to do that this evening, that we'll revisit those things, because he said there was a number of people who had some suggestions of things they might want to kick around about what we're doing with policy statement 7. So I'm going to withhold those comments, but just want to make sure that's the case, and we are going to come back and revisit this at an upcoming council committee meeting and hash some ideas out we may have.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions or comments? I'll accept a motion.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded on this item. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Aye. Motion passes. Next item on the agenda is miscellaneous council items. Item number 1 is to ratify the semi-monthly claim for March 23rd, 2020 in the amount of $3,391,392.58. Any discussion from the council? I'll accept a motion.
Move to approve.
Motion has been made and seconded on this item. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion passes. Miscellaneous council items. Does anyone on the council have an item they'd like to discuss?
I do.
Ms. Thomas?
We've talked about it a couple of times. It's been brought up from the council, and I hear it multiple times when I'm in the community, and that is an opportunity to have lessons learned through the Neiman Now project. I know Eric has brought it up multiple times, and countless times I hear it whenever I'm out and about. So I think it would be, I don't know, do we need to address a directive to someone to do that? I think it's...
This is Nolan. I can answer that. We are working on a document internally, and we will be sharing that with you all.
We heard you. That would be great. Thank you, Nolan. And what type of approach are you taking? Like, starting back from the beginning, what were the plans? How were the, because there are multiple different projects, I understand, and really clearly, so that people can be clear and we're very transparent in what did we learn from all of that? And from the beginning, whether it's part of the expansion of Beeman, if it's part of the stormwater issue, because there's multiple factors, and to lump them into one is a little, I think each needs to be addressed, and then it needs to be addressed on how they fit together.
Yeah, we'll be looking at things project by project, kind of looking at things and what caused some of the delays, some of the challenges with it, even looking at it from a financial perspective. For example, we potentially believe that if we would have rolled this into one single project, then we wouldn't have been eligible for the level of SMAP funds that we received, so what the additional costs would be to the community if this would have been one single project. However, also looking at kind of the challenges that we faced by making this multiple projects and some of the challenges that were caused by that. So kind of looking at it from a variety of different angles in terms of some things that we did in order to save taxpayer dollars, but also looking at things that also cost us additional time in the project as well. So Doug Whitaker and Public Works Director Doug Whitaker and his staff have been looking at this.
Great.
And we will be compiling some information to show you in terms of not just weather delays, but also the delays that you are aware of in terms of what the challenges are with the utilities, some of the legal issues and things that we worked with through Kansas City Power and Light, Evergy, some of the different contractor issues, and then just in terms of timing and kind of what that looked like just from the beginning, because as I've stated before, I think a lot of people don't realize the magnitude of the project and what actually occurred. I think obviously we kind of quickly forget what this corridor looked like before, and whether it's the Texas Toms and the pawn shop, some of the structures and the homes that we had to acquire, and some of the delays there in terms of negotiating with property owners in order to acquire some of the property inside the floodplain, some of the construction delays, or the challenges that we ran into in working with some of the businesses and some of the delays there that we ran into. So we're looking at kind of a wide variety of topics to kind of give you a better picture of what that looks like. And then also in terms of if we would have done the project a different way, potentially how many millions of dollars would it cost. I mean, I think people kind of have a challenge, I don't think, realize that this is a $30+ million project. And then I think that, a lot of people think it's just a traditionally mill and overlay project, and why are we getting new curbs and sidewalks? And I don't think people realize how large of an actual infrastructure project this was.
Nolan, I think all of the reasons you just mentioned is exactly why this is so important. I appreciate it.
Councilmember Jenkins.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I just have two comments. One of them is to piggyback on the discussion we just had concerning lessons learned. And I think it's absolutely imperative that as we look into lessons learned, that it's a positive action.
Yeah.
What can we have done better? Actually, at the same time, what came out real good? What are some of the things we really thought were positives? And we capture those because it's a learning experience. It's for us. This is not a gotcha exercise or a beat somebody up exercise, or now we know whose fault it was, so we can throw rotten apples at him or whatever. That's not the game. The game here, and I worked for the Center for Army's Lessons Learned and the Joint Center for Operational Analysis in Suffolk, Virginia, and we did major lessons learned, like why is the war going the way it is in Iraq? That's a pretty big deal. And it was done in a very positive manner, we want to win. So what is it we can be doing differently that would help us win? And if it's done in the negative light, it's a waste of time, and it's actually a big negative, and we don't want to go there. So as we build this down, we want to build it as a positive experience, and we're really looking for little nuggets that would benefit us. That's what this is all about. It's a win situation. The other item I had to discuss was just the current situation we have with COVID-19. I just want to extend my appreciation to the staff here in Shawnee for their efforts in working hard and keeping those to the grindstone through this process. I want to thank our citizens as well, because I've seen a lot of citizens stepping up. We've got businesses stepping up, and just want to promote Shop Shawnee. kind of concerned about sales tax receipts are going to look like coming down the road. So get out there and support your local businesses. I know when I leave here tonight, I'm going to go somewhere and buy some takeout curb service and try to promote one of our restaurants. So let's all hang in there. We'll see what's this thing pretty soon.
Well said, thank you.
If you like egg salad, I picked it up from Jake's on my way here, so it's very good. Any other comments, council items?
Madam Disler, this is Lisa.
Yes, Lisa.
I do want to go back to the very brief earlier conversation that we had about when discussion is appropriate on a motion. I know that our council tends to run at a very fast cadence, and it's totally fine when we have been presented with information in our packet that has a very clear motion that's already set for us, and we have discussion. We move, we have a second, and there isn't any further discussion, and we vote. That's totally fine. But when we are being presented with a new motion, and it is literally the first time that we're hearing the precise language of the motion, it is incredibly important that we have the opportunity to discuss the motion on the table before we have the vote. So I'm okay with everything that happened tonight. It's fine, but moving forward, we need to have that opportunity after the motion is made.
Okay,
Thank you.
I apologize because because I always say if there are no other items, I will accept a motion to adjourn. So at that point, I'm assuming that there was no more discussion and I accepted the motion. So at that point, we needed to vote on the motion that was on the table. But I understand your point going forward. We will remedy that.
Thank you.
If there are no other items, I will accept a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded to adjourn. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Aye. Motion passes. We are adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you. So we only want 4 people here? Is that right?
So,
Gotta have it.
suspended PS7.
Mhm.
My choice would be is
Mhm.
and then that way, like, once raise your hand, I'll be able to see you, raise your hand, your phone or your laptop, or that would be the easiest for whoever's sharing the meeting to be able to physically see everybody.
Mhm.
And like I said, then we'll still have a